Hi there, thanks for watching. Boeing and NASA decide to move forward with historic crewed launch of new spacecraft. After years of delays and a dizzying array of setbacks during test flights, Boeing's Starliner spacecraft is finally set to make its inaugural crewed launch. The mission is on track to take off from Florida as soon as May 6th, carrying NASA astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore to the International Space Station, marking what could be a historic and long-awaited victory for the beleaguered Starliner program. Design and development is hard, particularly with a human space vehicle, said Mark Nappy, Vice President and Starliner Program Manager at Boeing, during a Thursday news briefing. There's a number of things that were surprises along the way that we had to overcome. It certainly made the team very, very strong. I'm very proud of how they've overcome every single issue that we've encountered and gotten us to this point. Boeing and NASA officials made the decision Thursday to move forward with the launch attempt in less than 2 weeks. However, Ken Bowersox, Associate Administrator for NASA's Space Operations Mission Directorate, noted that May 6 is not a magical date. "We'll launch when we're ready," he said. If successful, the Starliner will join SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft in making routine trips to the space station, keeping the orbiting outpost fully staffed with astronauts from NASA and its partner space agencies. Such a scenario, with both Crew Dragon and Starliner flying regularly, is one for which the U.S. Space Agency has long waited. SpaceX and Boeing developed their respective vehicles under NASA's Commercial Crew Program, a partnership with private industry contractors. From the outset, the space agency aimed to have both companies operating at once. The Crew Dragon and Starliner spacecraft would each serve as a backup to the other, giving astronauts the option to keep flying, even if technical issues or other setbacks grounded one spacecraft. NASA did not initially envision, however, that SpaceX's Crew Dragon would operate on its own for nearly 4 years before Boeing's Starliner reached its first crewed test flight. In the earliest days of the program, which awarded SpaceX and Boeing contracts in 2014, NASA had favored Boeing, a close partner dating back to the mid-20th century, over SpaceX, which the federal agency saw as a relatively young and capricious upstart. As recently as 2016, NASA was planning its schedule with the view that the Starliner would beat the Crew Dragon to the launch pad. But the race between Boeing and SpaceX took a clear turn by 2020. Missteps riddled a Starliner test flight the prior year, leaving NASA and Boeing officials scrambling to figure out what went wrong. The Starliner did not dock with the space station on that mission due to software problems, including an issue with the spacecraft's internal clock, which was off by 11 hours. Meanwhile, SpaceX made history in May 2020 with the launch of its Demo 2 test flight, carrying astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley on a 2-month mission to the International Space Station. SpaceX's Crew Dragon has been flying routine trips ever since, carrying NASA astronauts and even paying customers and tourists. The spacecraft has now flown 13 crewed missions to orbit. Boeing, however, has spent several years contending with a string of challenges, including a list of issues that were uncovered in 2022 during the spacecraft's second uncrewed test flight. Boeing's commercial airplane division also has faced a series of scandals, including the 737 MAX crisis and the recent quality control issues, highlighted after a door plug blew off during an Alaska Airlines flight in January, that have damaged the company's brand. NASA officials at one point in 2020 even admitted that they had turned more scrutiny towards SpaceX and its unorthodox ways, while issues with Boeing's Starliner slipped through the cracks. Perhaps we didn't have as many people embedded in that process as we should have, Steve Steek, NASA's Commercial Crew Program Manager, said at a July 2020 news conference. He continued, "When one provider, SpaceX, has a newer approach than another, it's often natural for a human being to spend more time on that newer approach, and maybe we didn't quite take the time we needed with Boeing's more traditional approach." All right, folks, that's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.